we don't like just accept anybody. We want people who are kind of proven action takers. And so most of the people in my group have been, successful, have done deals. It's hard. I feel like it's hard to get someone their first deal. It's so much easier to show someone who already has seen success that, hey, this is what you have to do to get more success.
So then people you've known for a long time. So like, let's say you're trying to do Airbnbs, like, how did you meet those guys? How, like, where would you even start finding a partner? Right. And
Yeah.
like, let's just start there. Like, where would you even look for one?
So for the Airbnb guys off the bat, so one of the guys is Chris Miller, and he's at Daytona Beach, and I actually helped him buy his first property. I spoke at a local RIA, so a local RIA is a good place. I spoke at a local RIA. He saw me speak. I helped him get his first deal, and he had a full time job. He did a short term rental on his property. Started buying a couple more. Quit his job. I think his wife quit her job. I saw he's doing more. He found an opportunity. Needed help raising capital. We partnered on the deal, and then now we own like 7 or 8 properties together, 9 maybe, short-term rentals. And so I saw, what he did. He had a track record. I knew him from the RIA, and we built a relationship, and so we partnered together. And then I have another partner on short-term rentals as well. Local meetups. We've met JB, got some Blue Gems, JB and Aiden. They invited me on their podcast. We became friends. We hung out at local events. They're both local to Orlando, and they found opportunities. I found opportunities, and we found a way to partner together on structuring deals and raising capital. And so we just created win-wins together. But I saw what they're doing in the industry, how they're leaders in the industry, how they have a track record, and those are the people we partner with. And so it's not like super deep relationships, but I see the moves they're making. And so people do business with who they like and trust, but people do business with people who do business. And so I see them doing business. I see them taking action, and that's what I relate to, and that's what I see, and that's what I am willing to dive into a relationship with them. And not everything always goes well, and not everything's a winner all the time. But when you are partnered with people with high morals and have the same standards as you do, you find a way to make it work and create win-win situations.
I love it. That's such a like a good thing to like value, right? Like I definitely have had partnerships where like I realize I'm like, oh god dang it, I thought they knew what they were doing and they have no idea what they're doing, right? Like I recently have a partnership like that right now. I'm trying to almost exit out of basically. I'm like, all right, I think I'm gonna lose 20K on this deal and I'm okay with it because I'm tired of worrying about this, right? And that happens, guys, like it's a living and learning lesson. If I had had this podcast 3 months ago, I probably would have taken his advice earlier and been like, wait a minute, how many deals are they doing? Right.
Yeah.
So do you vet them? Like, do you see their HUDs, or is it more just like, okay, they've got the clout, they've got like community? Like how deeply do you vet your partners?
I knew them. Like I was close enough to them that I could see what they're doing, and I didn't believe that they were, in front of houses faking it, And
Right.
so just being with that, like kind of personally knowing them, more than just like through YouTube or Instagram or something like that, I believe them from having real conversations, not just over, a podcast, but, meeting them and going to their baby showers and things like that, and, meeting their family. And so I built a little bit stronger relationship where I knew these people were trustworthy, and I can see the actions they're taking. And I feel like I'm a good judge of character also. And so, it was a little bit of trust. I'll definitely lead with trust, and rather than hold it back and not trust you up front. Like I rather go forward with my trust and give it to you.
Gotcha. Makes sense. So then, okay, cool. Let's switching off of partners for a second. Here's like another topic that I like to talk to you about that like I'm just curious about that I want to get into a little bit before the end of this. Let's talk about social media for a second. Like just how social media has affected your business so far. I mean, like how has it affected your business? Like why did you start becoming social media famous, right? Like I feel like people a lot of times don't really keep in mind why they should be starting a podcast, doing like other people's podcasts, putting out the deals they're doing on social media? What's the reason you started doing so much social media content?
I did it for to more like raise private money and to have more capital at my disposal. Like I said, people do business with people who do business, and if people don't know who you are, they don't know what you're doing, then why would they give you money? And so I did it for that purpose. You know, when I actually started with hiring a company to do it for me, and they're like, "Well, what do you have to sell?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I got nothing to sell," and they were very expensive up front. And I knew it would pay dividends from just being kind of omnipresent, being seen as, somebody who is doing business, taking action, making things happen, building companies, building businesses, flipping deals, doing big deals, raising money, paying back investors. Like it's just showing the proof up front to everybody for them to see. And so I invested in that company to help it grow and get started. And then I hired a full-time, guy to kind of do my social media for me, follow me around, take videos, put out a lot of content. And so that's what we've been doing with no ask up front at all, just literally providing value, providing information. And still, we don't really ask for much from our audience or from who follows us. We talk about deals we're doing, and people reach out and see, how can they partner with us? How can they be involved in deals? How can they earn passive income? Right now, we are actually asking. We're raising capital for this Tallahassee deal and for self storage development, and it's a 506c offering for accredited investors only. So we're able to advertise and talk about those opportunities. So if anybody is interested in hands off passive investing, then reach out to me. But essentially, just from doing social media, people would, ask me for mentoring. So I had a bunch of one-on-one mentoring coach, people that I helped grow their business and scale their business. I got asked to, speak on stages and go to events. And so the more you do and the more you are seen, the more you get asked to do stuff. And so I've raised money from social media. I've gotten deals from social media. I got one self storage deal from social media, and met a lot of great people and connected with some great people. And I think it's something that could get a little bit distracting. That's why definitely for me, I hired somebody, but it's still also sometimes a little, I kind of pulled it back. We're supposed to like have certain days a week where we, do full on like 3-4 hours of content. And I've been putting that off because I got a lot going on. And so I try not to let it be a distraction, but it can be a distraction. I know some people who get started in social media and they, spend too much time on that and not on actually doing the business. My main focus is doing the business. And I like rather to just be recorded live on like what was actually going on in our company and our business and what actions we're taking rather than always being just like a talking head and just providing value that way.
Gotcha. No, that totally makes sense. And then so right now, like what like with social media, like what are your like when do you think, sorry, this was the question I was thinking of. When do you think social media should be started for someone? Like how much should they be in the business? Should they just do it immediately? I know one person who literally started out of nowhere, like didn't even do a deal and started doing social media. Her name's Toddy. I don't know if you know her, but I know, and she had done it. But when do you feel like somebody should really start getting into social media, start investing into it? What are your opinions on that?
So kind of going back to a little bit what I said, it's like as long as it's not a major distraction, I think you can provide a lot of people a lot of value to people by showing your journey of like, hey, I'm just getting started, and that can give you a lot of like credibility up front, especially if you have success. But like it's kind of like what I said is like instead of like just being the talking head and like spending so much time on it, like almost like if you put a video camera next to you and you recorded you cold calling for 3 5 hours a day, getting your first deal, going and dropping signs and talking to buyers and talking to sellers, going through your process. If you like vlog that info, like everything you're doing as you're getting started, I think that could be hugely valuable, hugely popular. People will love that to see you win. There are people who'll be probably rooting for you, not rooting for you, and they'll be, I think viewers, and I think you can get interest that way. But if it's a distraction for you and you're more focused on the social media than talking to people, making offers, locking up deals, well, then it doesn't make sense. So it's kind of like you got to find your balance essentially, but you just got to, know what your true focus is. Is it to get as many subscribers on YouTube as possible, or is it to do real estate, make money, flip properties, build assets, build wealth, get passive income. So you just got to know what's important to you when you go into it.
No, 100% makes sense. And guys, the right answer is real estate. The social media is not the right answer, by the way. He didn't say what the right answer was, but definitely the real estate is the right answer. And here's why, guys. Social media, it's going to get you deals, it's going to get you private money, it's going to do all of that good stuff, but you need a way to monetize it. Social media is just a huge microphone that we both of us use in order to get deals, get private money, get like the clout that we want in order to get it. The payments from how many subscribers you have on YouTube is nothing compared to the payments you'll have from like a wholesaling business. Like this is just something like I already like Pace is really transparent with his numbers. I think I don't remember how long ago this was, but it was like 20K a month. Like I do that easily with my wholesaling business. He gets 20K from YouTube, right? Like the YouTube ads. You're not gonna get that much money from being a social media influencer unless you have a business to send people to, right? Like if this is just a market, another amazing marketing channel
Yep.
for that type of stuff, right? So just doing one of my little rants there on that stuff, just so that the people know the right move is definitely be making a business that actually makes you some money, right? So awesome. So you started in wholesaling. How long did you do wholesaling before you did something else? I feel like this is always a good question of like how long should you stick to one thing before you feel like when should you be just doing one thing and then when should you branch out? Because everybody gets shiny object syndrome. How long do you stick to one thing before you start branching out, start doing other things?
Until essentially, for some people, it's different. Essentially until you can get to a position where you can automate it, you can systematize it, you have the systems and processes in place, and you can replace yourself. So if you can build that team up quickly, it might only take you a year. Depends on what kind of person you are, how successful you are right away. But if you pour back into your business, reinvest in yourself, reinvest in your marketing, and invest in people, then you can scale up quicker. And essentially, you just got to find the quickest way to replace yourself, and then you can start dabbling in something else. But you really want to be an expert in one thing first. Most people say 10,000 hours and one thing to actually truly master it. But there's a lot of things you can move quickly into other avenues and just replace yourself and have, as long as you get the concepts and you build it out and you know how to operate it and you know what it takes, then you know how to hold your employees to that standard of what it takes to get there because you've done it too. And so that's what we're trying to replicate in the self-storage side of our business, is kind of recreate what we created on the wholesale business, and that's what we're in motion to do.
I love it. So then what did you do? So like how long did it take you? Like how long were you just wholesaling before you started doing flips and the Airbnbs? Like what was your story? Like how long did you do the wholesaling
Yeah.
for?
So in 2012, December of 2011, I started in wholesaling, did a couple deals on my own, was missing something in my business. And going to Daniel's question in the chat, in the comments, I was missing something in my business. I went to a local RIA, was looking for like a mentor. He's like, I don't want to mentor you, I'll hire you. And so I worked for this guy and his wholesale business. And he was like, well, I don't want to just have you leave so quickly. I want to get commitment from you. And I'm like, hey, I'm super loyal. I'll stick with you. I'm not gonna just be in and out. So I went to go work for his business, and quickly within 1 week, I knew what I was doing wrong in my business. And even though I did a couple deals, I wasn't doing enough, and so I was not estimating repairs correctly. And I probably could have left and just been like, hey, I got what I needed and leave. But like I said, I'm a loyal person. I stuck to my word and I worked with him for 3 years and I built up his wholesale business. I pretty much ran the whole end of wholesaling. So he could focus on rehabs and new builds. And it just came to a point where even when I was working with him, I was continuing to going to events and educate myself. And then when after my brother came work for us, I was just like, hey, I'm plateaued. I'm stuck here. Like every year I worked for him, I got more and more bigger chunks of the deals. Like I got started at like 25% of the fees. Then when I left, it was 50% of the fees. But I'm like, hey, I'm doing everything. I can just go and do my own thing and get 100% of it. So it was just that point in time where I was like, I'm just gonna go do my own thing. And I did my own thing for 3 years, pretty much just wholesaling, and started buying assets and started doing a little bit more different things like taking down properties, rehabbing in 2017. And since 2017 till now, we have we have owned over 250 doors. We have over 200,000 square feet of self storage, and we're building 90,000 square feet of self storage in Tallahassee.
So you were working with that person for 5 years? 4 or 5 years?
It was just under 3 years. I was working for them, and then I did my own thing, just me and my brother, just wholesaling for 3 years or less, where we didn't really buy assets. We just wholesaled.
Yeah, I feel like 3 years seems about to be the mark. I'm hitting my 3rd year right now. I feel like around 3 years, you're like, "Okay, I've got it. I understand how it's supposed to be built out. I know I'm starting to I've learned kinda how to hire employees, how I should hire employees, how I should pay them, how to make a system, how to make that function." I feel like 3 years is, like, a good time estimate where, like, people generally should stick to one thing for 3 years. Just do that incredibly well, and then start moving into other things. So, going more into your story, how did you move into those other things? Was it mainly finding partners first? It sounded like it was finding partners, using the wholesaling skill to just find them deals, and then they would teach you how to operate them. Is that more or less the formula, if I got it right?
Not like pretty much it was just education. Like, hey, mobile home parks, let's get educated in mobile home parks and we take action. I did self storage. It was like, okay, let's do it. Like, we know of self storage. I know it exists. I know it's a business. I know it's a good business. And so I went and got educated in it and then just took action. And so in everything I've ever done, I've got education first. Like I spoke at an event about subject two today, and somebody else was talking about subject twos, and they'd do something a little bit different. I was like, I'm about to buy that guy's little book or whatever because he does it a little bit different than me, or his training because he does it a little bit different than me. And even though I maybe not implement the way he does it, I want to know how he does it, why he does it that way. And so it's all education. And so I continually push myself to be educated and learn, and that's what really can help you get into whatever new asset class you need to. It's just you got to get fully educated in it, and then just start taking massive action.
I love it. I love it so much. So, do you have any education programs? I actually have no idea. I'm just curious.
We have yeah, we have a group. It's called Creative Investor, and so we teach people how to not just wholesale everything and start taking down assets for yourself. So it's a smaller group. It's like probably got 20 people plus in it, and we just teach them how to buy properties with creative financing, whether it's subject to creative finance. There's guys in the group doing multifamily, other guys self storage. I'm buying a self storage deal for one of my students, and a couple guys quit their jobs recently, which is cool to see. And yeah.
What's like the most common problem you see with your students, right? Like I feel like especially people who have education programs, I like asking this, right? Because like again, purpose of the podcast, we're trying to get rid of all the fears of people who are starting out, but also like helping them solve their problems, right? Like what do you feel like just so far as like an educator, like what are the most common problems you've been seeing that your students deal with especially at the beginning, and then how do you see them overcome whatever those problems are?
So we don't really have like really too many like newbie people. We kind of that we don't like just accept anybody. We want people who are kind of proven action takers. And so most of the people in my group have been, successful, have done deals. It's hard. I feel like it's hard to get someone their first deal. It's much easier to show someone who already has seen success that, hey, this is what you have to do to get more success. And so people who are proven action takers, we like them in the group, and because it's a lot easier. I think the hardest thing in education is the people taking the immediate action because you can tell them all the things to do, but if they don't do it, how do you do that? You can't you can't really control that. So if someone proves to me that they're an action taker and they whatever you tell them they do, you're going to have success. And so if you're consistent with what you're doing with your action and you take massive action, then you can be very successful. And so the people in our group, they take action, and people are winning because they're doing what we tell them to do. They're making the tweaks in their businesses. they're listening and then deploying immediately. Like I think this Wednesday we had a call, and the guy immediately took action and got a deal that day on what we told him. And so
Love it.
that's the people like we want in the group. And so I don't need 1,000 people in the group. I rather talk to a couple different people that I can help, and we help each other.
Love it. Awesome. Okay, I was just curious. So then and I agree with you 100%. It's a lot easier just helping out an action taker. I mean, you just give them it and then they run with it, right? It's not rocket science. We're dealing with real estate, not rockets. So I feel like I definitely agree. That's a lot easier 100%. So what are your goals with that program? Like what do you want to achieve with that? Or like why do you even start doing it?
Well, I had several one-off students, like one-on-one guys, and that just reached out to me, for one-on-one coaching because I didn't really have anything. So I was like, hey, I have 15 grand, 90 days, I'll do that. And it made sense for me, but it's just the one-on-one just doesn't really make a lot of sense. It just makes more sense to do one to many. And so cut the price and we just do it now for one to many. And my goal was really not to grow it to the biggest thing ever. For me, what it does is allows me to help people, which I like doing. I like having people, be successful. One of the guys who my first ever mentee is in our group, and I helped him get started in wholesaling. We did a bunch of deals together. Like his first year and a half, we did like 300K. We split every deal, and I helped him on acquisitions, dispositions, and he took massive action. And then I started doing creative financing, showed him creative financing. He started picking up sub two deals and he would sell me some. And then he's the one in the group who found the self storage deal that he's selling to me. And so while you give, you always tend to receive back. And so I know from just providing value to these guys and girls and whoever else is in the group, I can, pour into them. They take action. They are successful in whatever they're doing. And one or two of them will say, hey, I got this fire deal I need help with, I need to partner with, and it comes full circle to me. And so, not trying to grow it so big, but I just organically talk about it, and and some people are interested. I don't pitch it. It's essentially, hey, if you want to do it, you want to do it. If you take action, you can be a part of it. But obviously, I have to vet you and make sure you're a fit for the group. But essentially, just slowly, gradually grow it, help people, and just create a tight knit community where we all help each other, do deals together. A lot of the guys in the group are already doing deals together, so it's a cool little group we got.
I like it. I have a feeling I'm again I'm just steps behind you, right? But like I recently I've been doing that. I kept doing that because I was like, okay, I don't want to get on the phone with anybody anymore. And so I was like telling people like, okay, I'm gonna charge 500 an hour if you want to get on the phone with me. And I just assumed nobody would ever accept it. And then a guy eventually was like, okay, I'll pay that. And I'm like, well, like I didn't actually even want to do it, but and I'm like, okay, whatever. Like the fact you were even willing to do that, that's a compliment. I'll do it. And then that keeps happening, then I'm gonna really amp the price up because like I don't actually at the moment I need to be focusing on growing the social media and then also just doing more wholesale deals where before
The problem,
coaching becomes a thing.
well, twofold with that, what you can do is had them, hey, like let me record our calls, and you can provide that as value to your like YouTube or social media, so that can help
True.
you. But also the problem with doing the one-on-one is, and I could tell by who you are and how you're speaking is like you over provide value. So I don't know how many one-on-one calls you've done. I did the one-on-one calls, and they're never an hour. It's like I'm like I'm giving you an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I'm like canceling my next appointment because you have we're diving deep in with you, and it's like it's never just the hour. That's why it's best to do the one to many because and not only are you can pour into that guy, but you can also share their experience with what you're teaching him. Other people can learn from. So the one to many I think is definitely the way to go for sure.
I got it. Just real quick. So like how do you do that? Like what is it like? Do you just do a Zoom a week with a bunch of people or like what are you providing or how do you do it? Just curious.
Yeah. Yep. So they got, obviously video content and all that we provide to them, all the resources and all our, materials. But essentially they also get one call a week. Every Wednesday at 12, we do a call for like an hour and a half, and we just answer any questions they have, help them with any deals. But because the group's small, I give them my cell phone number, and if they ever have a deal on a Monday, Saturday, Friday, and they need help with it, they just reach out to me. They have to fill out this information on the deal, and we'll schedule a Zoom call, and we just jump on the call and I help them with whatever they need. So whether it's helping, negotiate the deal, structure the deal, underwrite the property, to give a second look at it. I jump on a call with them, or my brother does, as if he's available and I'm not, and we just help them with whatever situation. And typically, we've done this for a long time, and typically, if they provide that information that we ask them for up front, it only takes like 15 or 30 minutes to quickly jump on a call and provide value to them. So there's guys doing big deals in our group, and you know to see everybody win like that is cool, and to say that you had a part of their success is a good feeling, and it's cool to give back.
Love it. Awesome. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay. I gotta think about it because like if that happens too many times, so far it's only been one person who's been willing. So like if that happens with more than like three people, I'm gonna be like, all right, screw me. Now we gotta like do group calls or whatever. So I like it. I like it a lot. We're getting to the end of this interview. So I have one last question I always ask everybody right at the end. And it's basically if you, Alex, could go back to yourself right when you were starting in real estate, what would you tell them then, knowing everything that you know now?
Yeah, so essentially, it's kind of going to go a little bit maybe backwards, but I honestly, I wish I would have started bigger up front. I had a good job and made good money, and so up front, I wouldn't have quit my job. I would have started in bigger assets. I would have started in multifamily, self storage, and mobile home parks up front because I had a good paying job. I made good money. And so people who come to me and ask me, should I quit my job? I'm like, hey, do you like your job and do you make good money? Because if you do, don't don't just quit and do wholesaling because that's a full time job too. And it ain't easy. It's simple, but it's definitely not easy. And so if you have a good job and you make good income, you can easily do multifamily self storage on the side. Maybe find a partner to help you grow that and still work on what you do. And you're actually more, bankable with a W-2 and, six-figure income than somebody who has millions of dollars in real estate because they're self-employed and they write off everything and their tax returns don't show that great of income. And so if I went back, I would tell myself, keep your job, do bigger assets first, and I'd probably have more than the $50 million portfolio we have. We probably have $500 million.
Wait, that's kind of crazy. That's like, hold on, I want to dive into that a little bit because I've never heard anyone say that before. So I know we're at the end, but I really want to dive into that. So you would have people if they're making like what more than couple, like more than
Six figures, let's
100K,
say, more than 100K. If you're making definitely over 150,
and
200,
then what would
I'd
you
probably quit my
do?
job.
So like, so you just keep the job, and then you would just find a partner, find you, and then like start going into self storage or like calling self storage or like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
I'm like curious
I
now.
would. Yeah, I would get education. So go take a course on self storage, mobile home parks, whatever it may be. Get educated. Start easily talking to. You can talk to brokers. You can do some marketing on your own. Start getting some deals. There's not. It's not like houses where you buy a list of 30,000 people and you're cold calling 30,000 people. Like in my whole list in like the country is not even 30,000 for self storage. And so if you the lists aren't that big. And so if you just market to them slowly or over time, you can start getting, calls in and, have an answering service answer them or hire one person to take those calls for you and funnel those calls over to you. And you can call when you're off your job and start just making offers and picking up deals. And with no stress of like, I have to get a deal because you have a good income, then you can easily, work these leads and get a deal. If you get one deal a year in a big asset, you can create substantial wealth for you and help. There's some other things you can do, like if your wife doesn't work or one of you doesn't work, they can quit and you can now get, be an active real estate investor and write off your good income, your active income over here. And so there's the other things you can do there, but essentially just do some marketing and just start learning and making offers.
I love it. I love it so much. So real quick, what can my audience do for you? Where should they follow you? What type of deals are you looking for? How can my audience add value to you? Because I'm super grateful that you're here. They're super grateful that you're here. So tell me, like, how can we help you out? How can people reach out to you? Tell me
Cool.
all the things we want to plug right now.
Yep. So that's my tag right there at alex.theinvestor.quesada. We give a lot of valuable content on YouTube. So if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, you want to go follow me on IG, definitely follow me there. And if you, for me, I'm buying self storage across the country. So if you have any existing self storage facilities and that you know of, or know somebody who wants to sell, and you want to send those my way, I would love that. I'm also buying creative deals in Orlando, Tampa area and the surrounding counties. So I'm a buyer for those deals. If you have anything to sell, wholesale, I'll pay your fee. And then if you are more on the passive side and you want to just invest passively, we have like a deal I mentioned before, the Tallahassee deal. Reach out to me on IG or anywhere, IG, I guess. DM me on IG storage and I will send you some information on that opportunity. Again, it's for accredited investors only. It's a 506C syndication and like a 2.2x multiple on your invested income is 28% IRR projected after we build it, lease it up, and sell it. And so, if I can help you out with passive income stream, or you can bring me deals and I can pay you a big wholesale fee, let's do that.
I love it. I love it so much. Thank you, my man. I appreciate you. Do you have any last words for everyone before I wrap this thing up?
I'd say on most what I say on most podcasts and whatnot is speed of implementation. So get educated, but implement what you learn as quick as possible. That's the one number one key for success is speed of implementation. Take action immediately.
Love it. Thank you, my man. I appreciate you so much for coming on. I really, really do appreciate it. This is Skorch the Fears. We'll be back next week, Thursday. I already forgot who's on next week. I think it's Austin Rutherford. He's also pretty cool. He's going to be on next week. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate you. This is Skorch the Fears. Let's freaking go.